Stephen, any thoughts? In all these debates, you don't seem to get tired of them. You just keep going. You like debates. What is it about them that you like?
I mean, the contest aspect is interesting. The research, like the pre-debate stuff, the research and the knowledge acquisition, I think is fun. The idea of like trying to defend an argument, like the whole theory and structure, and then the combative elements, like, you know, testing that against somebody else's, I think is fun. Yeah, I mean, in an ideal world, that would be everything, but in the practical world, it basically just comes out being like, how do you rhetorically outmaneuver your opponent and look good in a debate? Because on substance, the person is often completely lacking. So it just comes out to be like who looks better, which is unfortunate, but yeah.
Makes sense. And I'm surprised when people say that debates don't, I mean, I'm sure you would disagree with this, that when people say, oh, debates don't change minds, it doesn't make a difference anyway. You'd probably say, maybe some people it doesn't, but a lot of people it probably incrementally moves them. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you can move people over time. A single debate could change somebody's mind if somebody sees somebody get destroyed. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the debate has moved them because of some huge substantive point. But I mean, it could make you see your content creator or another person in a different light. It could make you see your arguments in a different light. You could be introduced to a new point that could germinate in your mind and over time or something. You know, yeah, there's a lot of ways that debates can change people's minds. Yeah, different things work better on different people. Just depends on that thing. Yeah, that
makes sense. There's also something to the idea that maybe a single debate, within reason, like maybe there are some cases, but generally it'd probably be bad if a single debate changed someone, let's say from an atheist to a theist or a theist to an atheist, Republican, Democrat, etc. It might be good that it's just like a piece of the puzzle for them, like a small step in their broader search. So even though, because I do sometimes get people that ask me, what about modern day debate having these people that might have dangerous views? You know, we've had people that have had really controversial views. And what if they influence people because maybe they don't have the best arguments? Because my first thought is, well, I mean, do you think these, for example, neo-Nazis that we've hosted some pretty bad apples, do you think that their arguments are more persuasive? And they're like, oh, well, I mean, no, their evidence and arguments aren't as good. And I'm like, okay, why are you worried? Why do you think that they're going to persuade people into their neo-Nazi camp? And they usually say, well, maybe that if they're more charming, if they have a sense of humor, if they're even better looking, these more peripheral components might persuade people to them. But the research this is from Hetty and Cacioppo, 1986, it's the elaboration likelihood model. It suggests that that's not actually a long-lasting or an effective way of changing minds. So when they look at the actual evidence in terms of what changes minds, it's arguments and evidence that are logical, evidence-based, and those more peripheral things like sense of humor, looks, don't seem to have the lasting effect that logical arguments and evidence do. So more central route seems to actually be more persuasive to people. That's something I commonly bring up because we have a lot of people that say, well, what if they persuade in another way other than their arguments?
I mean, like the thing is, I think the thing is there's like a totality of things that are always happening, and it's very hard to take one variable out of a person's life and try to analyze the impact of just that variable longitudinally over a long period of time, right? Like I'm sure, I'm 100% positive that there's probably a huge correlation of people that if you measure the circumference of somebody's like quads or biceps, you know, that's probably heavily correlated with whether or not they have a subscription to a gym or something. But like having a subscription to a gym doesn't give you any muscles. It doesn't do anything, right? But the person that goes to the gym is probably likely to also exercise and do a bunch of other things. A person that listens to a debate is probably also already atypical. They're probably somebody that also engages in other types of political content. They have other friends that are politically motivated, and they watch people that give them political opinions. So you're already outside of the norm, and it's really hard to say like, well, did one debate or did this debate have this influence on a person when it's probably working with a whole conjunction of like other effects as well, you know?
That's so true. There's also some good research on that there is an argument to be made, even from empirical peer-reviewed data, that, like you said, these debates are like a really small piece, and that especially when they go back to their in-groups,
Yeah.
they're in groups claiming that they won. It might wash away the effect.
Maybe, yeah. But like, yeah. It's all like part of it. It's all like a little, all little pieces. Activists are important. Voters are important. Politicians are important. I think that online content creators are important. We all play like our little roles and everything. No one person is going to move the needle completely on everything, you know, except for those very rare people in history, you know, your Abraham Lincolns, your MLKs, your Stephen Bonnells. Okay. But for most people, you know, you just are kind of one thing at a time, one piece at a time.
In terms of like those unique cases where debates do change minds, like especially, can anybody, regardless of whether or not you think it was justified, I think everybody would agree that like this most recent debate was the most, with Trump and Biden, was the most like, you could say it had the greatest effect on any campaign throughout the history of debates and campaigns, at least as far as I know. Does that seem like it might be true?
Yeah, it's possible, but it's hard to. Well, you're a philosophy PhD, aren't you? What did you get your degree in, or was it religious studies?
Psychology.
Oh, psychology. Okay. Well, like, so the last debate was really important, but it wasn't really important because of debate. It was important because it showed us like meta information about a debate, right? Which had to do with how cognitively impaired we felt Joe Biden was. So like the debate was really important, but it wasn't really because it was a debate. It was just because of that performance. Like that theoretically could have been another type of event that wasn't a debate at all, and people could have come away with a similar feeling.
That's a good point. Good distinction. Good peeling it apart.
Sure.
Probability. What do you think is the probability that Kamala or Trump wins?
I don't know, man. We're in a wacky, wild, and unprecedented time. I think that as the time goes on, I feel like right now it feels like it's Democrats' election to lose. If the course remains as it is, it feels like the Democrats are doing really well and the Republicans just can't help but themselves over. But it's possible Republicans could change course and be more effective on their messaging. It's possible that Kamala could say something or do something really stupid or fuck up. It feels like right now in the political landscape, because the election stuff has taken such a front seat, something that's like really unique that seems to have happened, and maybe this won't be the same going forward, is Kamala seems to have been able to inherit the incumbent gain, in that she's like very recognized in the Democratic Party, so she's got a lot of popularity and a lot of support, without taking on like the incumbent accountability. Whatever's happening with peace deals with Israel-Palestine, whatever's happening with with the state of the economy in the United States, it seems like the only thing, and maybe it was Republicans' fault for focusing on this, the only thing Republicans are trying to pin on Kamala is like the border, because they call her the border czar, instead of trying to make her accountable for the entire Biden presidency. Now, I don't know if that's because it focus tested better, or if it's because that was the only thing they could do, or they just felt like it was a better line of attack. But it's really rough now, because if like a deal doesn't get reached between Hamas and Biden, or Hamas and Israel, and with the USA mediating or whatever, it seems like it's really hard for Republicans to blame Kamala for stuff going on with Biden. So Kamala is able to have like a foot in both worlds, where she's getting like this incumbent advantage without all the incumbent liability, which is a really enviable position to have. But who knows if that'll continue to carry on or not. I'm not sure. But the border czar attacks, I think, were really dumb. It's like the vice president. And I don't feel like they've landed well, but yeah, who knows?